the U.S. State Department put up on Instagram, basically flexing that they've revoked 100,000 visas. 8,000 of those visas are in the student category, and 2,500 specialized visas for individuals who had encounters with the U.S. law enforcement for criminal activity. They said they will continue to deport these thugs to keep America safe. 100,000 visas being reported. That's a crazy number. It's unbelievable that this is the route they're going to, but they've been looking for a way to deport the illegals. But it looks like they're not making a lot of progress as expected. So they're shifting their focus to the legal ones. If you've had an encounter with the U.S. law enforcement, if you've been convicted of any criminal activity, yeah, you might be on chopping block next. Your visa might be getting revoked.
Yeah, I mean, 100,000 a drop in the ocean, but then again, is also significant because those are not just numbers. Those are actually people that are set to be removed from the country. Or if you're not in the country, maybe you traveled overseas. Those are numbers of people that are not allowed back into the country. It's crazy. I would think that the issue in the Somalian community in the Minnesota contributed to this, and then I think for them maybe they have come to the conclusion that these legal residents will probably be a lot easier for them to find than those ones than the illegals, because with the illegals they'll be running up and down, but with the ones that are legal that have used the system when they are not supposed to use the resources, they'll probably think that they will be a lot easier. They have an address, they have where they live, they have where they work, so they can actually go there straight up and then remove them from that place.
Welcome to the Y&E podcast. Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed, do not wait any longer. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, give us a follow, share, and engage with us in the comment section. The U.S. State Department put up on Instagram, basically flexing that they've revoked 100,000 visas. 8,000 of those visas are in the student category, and 2,500 specialized visas for individuals who had encounters with the U.S. law enforcement for criminal activity. They said they will continue to deport these thugs to keep America safe. 100,000 visas being reported. That's a crazy number. It's unbelievable that this is the route they're going to, but they've been looking for a way to deport the illegals. But it looks like they're not making a lot of progress as expected. So they're shifting their focus to the legal ones. If you're legal and you've had an encounter with the U.S. law enforcement, if you've been convicted of any criminal activity, yeah, you might be on chopping block next. Your visa might be getting revoked. So if you haven't tainted your record, if you haven't had any encounter with the law enforcement agencies, if you haven't committed any crimes and you're still on a green card, it's a good idea to continue to stay away from trouble so as to not be part of Trump's push to deport as many people as possible. Their goal was to deport illegals, but now they're shifting focus to legal residents as well. That I'm sure at some point they're gonna come hard on people that are taking benefit. I've heard cases whereby if you've taken government subsidies or government help, if you received help from the government, maybe SNAP benefit, and you're trying to, convert your status to a green card, that could also hurt you as well. So it's important for you to pay attention to what's going on, whether it's rumors, whether it's real news. It's up to you to make sure you out there listening to what's going on so you don't be victims of visa revocation.
Yeah, I mean, 100,000 a drop in the ocean, but then again, is also significant because those are not just numbers. Those are actually people that are set to be removed from the country. Or if you're not in the country, maybe you traveled overseas. Those are numbers of people that are not allowed back into the country. It's crazy. I would think that the issue in this in the Somalian community in the Minnesota contributed to this, and then I think for them maybe they have come to the conclusion that legal residents will probably be a lot easier for them to to find than those ones than the illegals, because with the illegals they'll be running up and down, but with the ones that are legal that have used the system when they are not supposed to use the resources, they'll probably think that they will be a lot easier. They have an address, they have where they live, they have where they work, so they can actually go there straight up and then remove them from that place. But including students, but I think um this is going to continue. There's 3 more years to this. So, like you said the other day, this is just going to be a rough ride for the next 3 years. Everybody just have to adjust, their seats and buckle up and then fasten their seat belt. If you have been into scheduled activities or you are into scheduled activities, this might just be the time to reconsider, what you're doing if you really care about, what happened to you. But if not, you can just continue doing what you're doing. But, Trump and his boys are not playing around. And then the ICE agents, those guys are working. They are very zealous people. They are working overtime. They are trying so hard to impress their boss, So if they get a hold of you, they will not let go of you until they remove you from these countries. I think this is going to be a rough ride, but it's unfortunate what is going on, and it's just unfortunate.
So, do you think that the job market that is slowing down is one of the reasons the Trump administration is pushing to have the illegals out of the country, pushing to have some legal resident that have criminal history out of the country because they're trying to get more U.S. citizens jobs? I remember a few weeks ago, Trump came on the TV and he said all the jobs that have been created since he's become the president has gone to a U.S. Citizen. So is their goal to get rid of legal resident with jobs and illegal resident with jobs and provide jobs for U.S. citizens? Do you think this is how they're leaning, but they're not comfortable to put it out there like that?
I mean, if that is the case, I think it's a welcome development. U.S. citizens should have a job. But then again, even though the jobs are in the hands of the illegals, you still have to pay tax, even though you are not legal in the country. You still have to pay your tax. If you have a job with in fact, if you are illegal, it will probably almost be next to impossible to get a job with a company unless you pick up somebody else's identity. Otherwise, you as a person without a legal status, I don't think most companies will really want to hire you unless they want to sponsor your visa. But if that is the case, I think is a welcome development. But then what confuses me is if you go to that State Department Instagram handle, a lot of the faces you see there, none of them you don't quite see a lot of European faces there. So the faces you see there are, people from the Western Hemisphere, our neighbors right here, people from Africa, and then maybe some people from the Middle East. That's what you see. You don't really see a lot of the faces of European. It begs the question, we don't have illegal Europeans in America, or this is just about about whiteness. That is another concern.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know if you remember, we once had a guest on our TikTok live that said that the U.S. has a lot more in common with European countries than African countries and Asian countries, that they prefer to have Europeans in the U.S. than people from African countries and people from Asian countries as well. And also people from South America, right? Maybe this is the sentiment of a lot of people in America. They want people that look like them. They want people that will not want to change their culture, would not want to change the demographics of the country. So maybe that's another push. Maybe that's one way of achieving their goals. It's just unfortunate that if you're giving somebody an opportunity to come here legally and they're here legally, then you should give them that opportunity to be successful. And some of these jobs that legal resident or illegal resident allegedly taken, some of those jobs, some U.S. citizens, some would not want to take the job because the jobs don't pay well. Farming is hard, for example. It takes a lot of energy. It takes toll on your body. So a lot of people run away from farming. If you're not a farmer, if you don't own the business, it's gonna be difficult for you to live away or labor away 10 hours, 12 hours of the sun and have little to nothing to show for it. So some of these farmers will prefer to bring someone from overseas that they would take care of them, leverage that visa category to bring people into farming so that they can at least afford to pay them something. If you are a U.S. citizen, someone is paying you $25 to walk indoor in a climate control environment, and someone is paying you $15 to pick fruits and vegetables 10 hours in the sun. You would want to be inside in the climate control environment, and because it's paying you more and because it's easier on your body. That's what you're gonna do. So not a lot of people will pick farming. Not a lot of people will pick construction work, and depending on the time of the year, whether you're in the environment that is, really cold during the winter and really hot during the summer. In some places in the US, they don't do construction during the day, especially in the summer, because it's super hot and they have to make sure the weather goes down in the evening or at night to wait for their construction works. It's hard on people's body. And if you're a US resident, you prefer to work in a climate control environment than put your body to that level of stress.
Yeah, I mean, for me, unless somebody tells me otherwise or unless somebody explains to me otherwise, I would think that the diversity in the US is actually an advantage to United States government or United States as a country. I don't think you will see what we have in the US. You will see it anywhere else, and I think it has been a more of advantage to the United States government than a problem. But then again, if they say like that guy said that night, they have a lot more in common with the Europeans than anybody else. I don't quite blame them because you remember we had an episode a long time ago where we talked about people having hard time or having difficulty integrating into the society. A lot of us come here, we find it very difficult to fully integrate into the society, whether it's by the way we live, which I'm not quite in support of throwing everything about you, about your identity away. But then again, as you come into a country, there's supposed to be some level of integration into the society to make the people that you are living with or you are, coming into their society to make them a bit more safe, a bit more accommodating. But then again, what we see is people find it difficult to fully integrate. Even I see a lot of people like truck drivers, they complain that some foreigners, they put their foot in the sink to wash their legs and stuff like that. And those things are un-American. And I wouldn't know why somebody would be putting their whole feet in the sink to wash their feet. So I think that is where the problem is coming from. But for the foreigners coming here, I mean, if you have agreed to come into somebody else's country, I think you should be willing to, to do some kind of integration into the society. I mean, that will make your host to have some level of trust in you. Yeah, Trump administration has announced that they have revoked the 100,000 visa. To me, is a drop in the bucket. Well, let us know what you think about the number, and then we'll be able to engage with you in the comment section.